as the IDF carries out one of the largest counter-terror operations in months in the West Bank. Joining us to discuss the situation is Yishai Fleisher. Yishai, thanks so much for joining us today. I'd like to start by getting your take on this unusual level of activity in Tulkarem and Jenin by the IDF. Is this something that you've been expecting? And what has the situation been like in Judea and Samaria with the war thus far?
Well, it really depends on which parts. In Samaria, it's been more troublesome. In Judea, where I'm at, in Hebron and Gush Etzion, a little bit quieter. But look, we have a multi-front war right now, which is in Gaza, in the north. But there's no question that jihadist elements are getting heated up, and they are preparing to attack one way or another. And we saw some of the funerals that took place yesterday. And the funerals, you could see there's a lot of armed young men. There's a lot of calls for jihad and readiness for death and that kind of thing. And the IDF wants to stop this phenomena from spreading. And we don't want it to open up as a major front. So therefore, the IDF is probably going to a mode of striking hard now so that it does not become a full-fledged front in the near future.
Have there been efforts to push that direction in terms of having more Israeli governance over certain areas where we see the promotion and encouragement of terrorism in certain communities and certain Palestinian Arab communities on the ground there? Or is that something that's further in the future, as you mentioned?
Well, on the one hand, there is the process of what we call resettling this land. And that means having normative Jewish communities settle in the heartland of the Holy Land, which is Judea and Samaria. And in the places where I am right now, in Hebron, or in Kiryat Arba, or in Gush Etzion, there's a much more decent life for Jews and Arabs because there's more Israeli military presence. Don't forget the jihadists attack Arabs first, right? Any Arabs that want to normalize with Israel, they're the ones that are attacked by the jihad. So the more Jewish presence we find there, the better. At the same time, I must say that this right-wing government that in its heart wants to start to roll back the Oslo paradigm, the two-state paradigm, has not done so yet effectively. I'll give you just one example of an effort. There's an area next to the desert of Tekoa, and that area was supposed to be a jointly protected nature reserve, but it was immediately taken over by the PA, and they started constructing upon it and getting rid of and undermining all the agreements that they had about keeping this special place as a nature reserve. Well, the Israeli army with the Israeli government is now pushing back in there with the civil administration to retake that area and to create it for what it was supposed to be, which is a nature reserve. But the bottom line is, where there's an absence of an Israeli government, jihadism takes its place. As everybody likes to say around here, there is no vacuum in the Middle East.
You know, there have been reports of an increase in Iranian, immigrants to Palestinian cities via Jordan, likely prompting some of this counter-terror activity, in addition to a rise in terrorism of unaffiliated terrorists with specific organizations. What have you heard about this, and how can Israel best combat it? Some of which I think you alluded to in the last question.
Sad to say, but October the 7th was a great victory for Hamas, at least till now. And when I said that, what I meant is, in the eyes of young Arabs, so-called Palestinians. And so therefore, Iranian-style jihadism, which is what Hamas is, what Hezbollah is kind of the talk of the town amongst the Arab street. And so given the fact that Iraq, and this is a little geopolitical, but given the fact that Iraq is no longer controlled by a strong a Sunni presence, the Iranian Shiite regime has taken over through Iraq, created a corridor through Jordan. Jordan is not a strong country. It is not protecting the border with Israel. And so basically the Iranians have a corridor right into Israel. That part is Judea and Samaria. In order to stop that, we have to strengthen that defense line, that border line. We have to secure it much stronger. And furthermore, recognize the fact that Iranian, Turkish, and other forces want to stir up the jihad. That is part of the great strategy of Iran to have its tentacles in proxies. We see that, of course, in Hezbollah, in Hamas, but now also in Judea and Samaria. They are masters of chess pieces, and they're moving their proxy chess pieces around Israel and endangering it. The danger to Israel from the so-called West Bank, Judea and Samaria, is immense because Jerusalem is right here. Hebron is a humongous Arab city. And when you let the things go wild, you basically allow for jihadism to create attacks on the rest of Israel, be it, God forbid, suicide bombers, snipers, or even what we've seen in Gaza and in South Lebanon, which is racketeering.
All right. Well, we are out of time, but Yishai Fleisher, as always, pleasure to have you on. Thank you for your insight.
Thank you.